Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders, a great millstone who rule well. And also honor and salutations to those of you who are of the hopeful elect and are out there teaching the word in sincerity and truth. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Esau. We were in class this afternoon, or this evening rather, and we were talking about um the small hats, if you will. And one of the brothers mentioned how um the small hats are trying to uh discredit us. I think the elder Adama was reading an article about um it was an article, but it was mentioning something about black Hebrew Israelites as one of the so-called terrorist groups. And in there, the article said in so many words that there's no actual foundation to black Hebrew Israelites saying that they're Jewish, is what the article said. And our response to that was, matter of fact, let's go to it. It's Romans. I think it's Romans 8. It's Romans 8 and 16. It says, "The Spirit itself bears witness with our spirit that we are the children of the Most High," right? So it's not supposed to be something that can be verified or verifiable, right? It's supposed to be something that you see in the spirit. And what is the spirit? The spirit is these words that we read off of the pages of the Bible, right? So that's how we were able to figure out that we're the Israelites, right? And I'd argue that their claim to be Israelites is baseless, right? But much like we can figure out who the Israelites are based on what the scriptures say, we can also figure out who the Edomites are based on what the scriptures say. And again, I think this is an interesting show because we were talking about it in class. And then um, as I was leaving work, I was just looking at the messages, and the elder Manata Zagba did a spot on. I forget the guy's name. I was going to look it up, but I didn't want to give the guy any more shine. Um, but he's basically saying that Edom is is Japheth, right? And how um, he goes into these different books to prove that, right? And you can go into any of the two, and the two don't agree with each other, right? And so this is why the scriptures say this. Let's go. What is that? I think it's 34 and 16. Isaiah 34 and 16. It says, "Seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read. No one of these shall fail. None shall want her mate. From my mouth it hath commanded, and his spirit it hath gathered them." Right. So the book of the Lord doesn't need any partners. And one of the things that has stood out to me over the past few years that Elder Apostle Tahar said was, "We have enough for salvation." Right. And this scripture here speaks to that. Right. Right. We don't need any other books uh, uh, to tell us what's going on. And the topic of Esau is no different, right? It gives us all his characteristics. It tells us everything that he planned to do, everything that he is doing, things that he's done in the past that he still does today. And through those things, that's how we know who the wicked are, how we know who Esau is, right? And so I wanted to read some of those things and um, and show that. So um, yeah, I'll read them in order, and if the Spirit allows, I'll. What's this? For a second, just looking at my tabs here to see what I have open. Mm-hmm. Okay, so so start here. This is Ezekiel the 36th chapter, and I guess these are in no order. I'll allow the Spirit to guide me through the lesson. But um, here in Ezekiel 36, it mentions something specific about what um, these people would be doing, what Edom would be doing in the last days, right? So let's start here. I'm comfortable with that. Let's go to. I'll start at 1. This is Ezekiel 36 and 1. It says, "Also, thou son of man, prophesy unto the mountains of Israel, and say, Ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord power, because the enemy have said against you, Aha, even the ancient high places are ours in possession." Right? And I always think of this when I read this word aha here. It's like when a kid, aha, aha, you can't catch me, that kind of thing. It's a mockery, right? To say even the ancient high places are ours in possession. So what are the ancient high places, right? The ancient high places are talking about Israel, right? If you go to Esther, it talks about the hill country, right? Or if you want to speak to it spiritually, it says in Galatians, Israel, which is Jerusalem, excuse me, which is above, is free and is the mother of us all, right? So the ancient high places are or is the land of Israel, right? And what this is saying is someone has taken the land and said it's ours. We have possession over it, right? Let me look up this word. I never did that before, honestly. Or maybe I have and just don't remember. Let's see what it is. Aha. It says aha. Nothing much in here. Yep. Uh Anama to poetic. How do you say that? Whatever this is. Let's look it up, see what it means at least. Search Google. It says onomata poetic describes words that imitate the sounds they represent. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, that makes sense. It's an adjective related to the word onomatopoeia, which is the formation of words that sound like what they mean. Think of words like buzz, hiss, meow. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that nana nana boo boo. That's what he, those are sounds, but it's imitating something, right? Um, so that's interesting, right? Expressing joy, aha, always introduced by what is this character? This is a Ra. It says, he says, aha, I am warm. I have seen the fire. So basically, enjoy. Let's see if I can figure out. Let's see what I can get from Google. Oh no, it's not gonna give me that. Let's see. Let's do it like this. There we go. This is good. Aha. Used to express satisfaction, triumph, or surprise, right? So yeah, right. You use it the same way as kids use it, right? When you running from playing hide and seek, aha. It's an expression of joy, right? It's a in this case like to mock, right? Expression and joy to mock. Even the ancient high places are ours in possession, right? It says, therefore, prophesy and say, thus saith the Lord power, because they have made you desolate, right, and swallowed you up on every side, that ye might be a possession unto the residue of the heathen, right? And so, who are we a possession to, right? Matter of fact, let's go to what was this? Let's go here. Um, Deuteronomy 28, right? Deuteronomy 28 and 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee. Salakia. In hunger and thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Right. So let's see, just let the spirit roll sometimes. So let's do this. All right. All right. So this is a yoke of iron. Right. Okay. And these were put on slaves, right, to make it difficult to run through the thick of the farmlands that we would try to escape from, right? Give me 1 second. It says, where did I read that? Right. So when you go back to Ezekiel here, right, it's talking about our people, right, being made a possession unto the residue of the heathen, right? And so when you look at who um, had these yokes of iron, right, and who put the yokes of iron on us, that's the residue of the heathen, right? Matter of fact, let's do this. Let's look up that word residue. Let's see what we have here. The rest, residue, remainder, remnant, rest, what is left, remainder, descendants. All right, so not much there, right? All right. And so when you look at this here, it says that ye might be a possession unto the residue of the heathen, and ye are taken up in the lips of talkers and are an infamy of the people, right? And this is true of us, right? This is true of our people, that we are a possession, right? We're let's say spread throughout the residue of the heathen, right? You can say the transatlantic slave trade, right? uh, we've served every nation, right? It says, therefore, ye mountains of Israel, right? Hear the word of the Lord power. Thus saith the Lord power to the mountains and to the hills, to the rivers and to the valleys, to the desolate wastes, and to the cities that are forsaken, which become a prey and derision, to the residue of the heathen that are round about, right? And so this is talking about our land now, right? Our land has also been given over to the residue of the heathen, right? You have um, um, Ishmael there, right? You have Amalek there, both fighting over the land. You have some Elamites there that are fighting over the land. You have even our people who the land belongs to, right? Went over there prematurely and they're fighting over the land, right? So there's this fight for the land, right? And the point being here that there was going to be a people that did this, right? And it's going to say it here, verse 5. It says, Therefore, thus saith the Lord power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea, right? Which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of their heart. So this is saying here that Idumea would be the nation of people that would take on the land, right, and possess it for themselves, right? You can read up on the Balfour Declaration, right? So this was done. They took our land, and not only our land, or let's say it this way, our mainland, but also other lands where we settled, right? Um, Case in point, when the northern tribes came over here to the Americas, they came over here and took that land too, right? Esau has been, matter of fact, a taker. This is what Esau has done, right? What's this? Okay, I read this already. There, that's it. This is John 10 and 10. It says, the thief cometh not, but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly. Right. So the thief, what does he do? He steals, he kills, he destroys, right? Sets up crafty counsel to take over lands, right? Hides his hand, right? Matter of fact, um, what is that? I want to say it's Psalms 55 and maybe 21. Yep. Yep. Who is this? Right. Let's read some more of these characteristics that the scriptures talk about. This is Psalms 55 and 20. It says, he hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant. Who did that? Right. When you talk about uh, these lands being taken here in the Americas and how they went about that, what did they do? They signed all kinds of peace treaties, right? And pretended to be in league with the North American Indians, and then they stripped their land right from underneath their noses, right? The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords, right? And so this is what you do. You take the scriptures, right? You figure out what it says about the wicked. You figure out what it says about Edom or Idumea, and you let's say put it to modern times, right? So just like the Spirit beareth witness that we're Israelites, the Spirit also beareth witness to who the Edomites are, right? And it talks about Edom's destruction, right? It talks about uh, Edom's rise into prominence, right? And how they did it sneakily, right? Matter of fact, let me see here. Yep. What is that? I think it's Isaiah 29. Here it is. Boom. All right. Isaiah 29 and 15. Let's go back. So I just want to check that. It says, woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord, and their works are in the dark, and they say, who seeth us and who knoweth us? Right. And this is let's say the elder apostle Gabar brought up their modus operandi, right? To do things and do it behind people's backs, right? Matter of fact, uh, let's see, what is that? Yeah, yep. This is Micah 2 and 1. It says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds, right? When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand, right? So they dream about their wickedness, right? They sleep on it, right? Or they're up all night thinking about the next wicked thing that they can do, and then in the morning they practice it, right? Who does these things, right? Who has secret societies, Skull and Bones, this and Bohemian Grove, that, and Illuminati, and all of these different, and even when our people take part in that, like as in the Boule, right? Who did these things in secret? Who created these things? Esau, man. Who's doing that? Esau, so-called white man, right? Matter of fact, got another one. This is Job 9:24, right? Old faithful here. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he, right? So who did that, right? Go look up iconoclasm, right? Go um look up the Renaissance, right? We went to the museum in Clinton, Mass, and showed you. What's interesting about that place is that you could see the original images, and you can see where they started to attempt to deface the images, right? So you can see all of those things, right? Who's doing this, right? Right. You can look at all of the distractions in modern culture. One thing we talked about in class, I want to read this. The brother Haran brought this out, or Aaron, he brought this out. Um, this is Second Maccabees 6, and I'll start at 5. Mm. It says the altar also was filled with profane things, right, which the law forbiddeth. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient fast, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew. Now, uh, in these times, right, in time of Maccabees, it was more explicit. You knew exactly who it was that was trying to keep you from keeping your laws, right, keeping your Sabbath days, calling yourself an Israelite, right? You knew who it was. But in these days, what do? They add all these distractions, right? They first and foremost, as it says in Ezekiel 36, they say the ancient high places are ours in possession, right? So they've taken the land, right, and they've occupied the nationality of Israelite, right? And then what they did was they added all kinds of distractions, right? TV, music, uh, lasciviousness, lascivious sex is what I wanted to say. Um, um, Food, right? All of these different things to distract us. So now, though it was more explicit in the time of Maccabees when they were uh, Macedonians, let's say, right? It's more abstract now, right? You can't point the finger exactly at who it is unless you're paying attention, unless you know what their modus operandi is, right? It talks about how look. Let's look at this, right? Let's look at let's go to 1. This is Second Maccabees 6:1. It says, not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their fathers and not to live after the laws of the Most High, and to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem, and to call it the temple of Jupiter Olympius, and that in Gerizim of Jupiter, the defender of strangers, as they did desire that dwelt in the place. The coming in the coming in of this mischief was sore and grievous to the people, right? And so you look at all of these abominable things that they did in the temple, right? They do those things now, right? Or they cause those things to be done now. Like when you read here in Maccabees, right, about the abomination, excuse me, about the abomination of desolation, right? Swine being sacrificed on the altar. And then you look today in modern times, there's swine's flesh in everything. in soaps, in clothing, in breads, right? There's swine's flesh in everything, right? And so what are they doing by doing that? Right? They're making us in many ways unknowingly, but in some ways, like you know what certain things are, so you try to stay away from them. But force us to um, uh, go against the Heavenly Father, right? It says, "For the temple was filled with riot and reveling by the Gentiles, right? Who dallied with harlots and had to do with women within the circuit of the holy places, and besides that, brought in things that were not lawful." Right? So all of these things that they did in these ancient times, they're still doing today. That is their modus operandi, or their MO, as they say in cop terms, right? When they're trying to find out who a killer is, right? When you're trying to find out who the main suspect is, right? You look at all of these details, right? You look at their track record, you look at their history, and you watch them and you say, "Oh, this must be him," right? I forget who it was, that doctor that had the dreadlocks there, and came to the conclusion that you have to exterminate them, right? He's not in the truth, right? But he followed their track record, right? He followed the modus operandi. He followed their history, right? He followed their wiles, right? Their deceit, their craft. He followed that to figure out who it was, and he found it, and he understands the solution, right? Which is what the Heavenly Father is going to do, is completely eradicate them, right? You're going to have to, right? So that's it. I had a couple other scriptures, but I'll stop here. Let me just check something real quick. Yeah, I can stop here. So it's a simple thing, and this is how you know we're rounding the end, because we're still talking about things that we've always let's say it this way: we have to reiterate things that we've always talked about, right? These people, they come out of the woodworks and they think they're saying something new, but really they're just repeating what's already been said. And so we have to come and talk about these things, right? So that there's an understanding out there in the world, right? It's very clear who Edom is, right? You can even ask AI what the world will be like under Esau, or what the world will be like under the rule of Amalek, and see what it says, right? And see if that's not the world that you live in today, right? That's how you do it, right? So with that, hopefully that was edifying. I want to give all praises to Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai Bashem, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Honor and salutations to the elect. With that, I say shalom.